So now we are going to start our pre-seen relevant with the March 2025 session. Are provided: introduction, Iridicia sector information, overview of charitable sector. So we can assess that this pre-seen or this case study is relevant with the charitable organization. So now we will look at the introduction and we will move forward. So, what is the introduction? Historic Places is a charity which operates in the country of Iridicia. It aims to preserve historical sites in Iridicia. So, their aim is clearly mentioned over there that they want to preserve their historic sites. Here, DCS sector information, overview of charitable sector, charities, charitable organizations. Remember one thing, when we are talking about the charities or charitable organizations, we always use value for money. 3 E's concept to determine the performance. 3 E's includes what? 3 E's includes economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Promote the welfare of the society and the public interest. Their aim is what? Their aim is to promote welfare in the society or public interest in the society. They carry out many different activities, including helping the sick and disabled. So they are not only preserving the building, they are also providing services to the sick and disabled people, providing poverty relief and education. They are also providing poverty relief and education, preserving history and campaigning on issues affecting the society. Charities raise funds through various methods because these organizations are funded by donors, so that's why their performance is measured against the proper or effective utilization of donation. Remember one thing, in such type of organization, the people who are providing donations or organizations, those who are providing donations, they are not users. Users and donors are two different people. Users are have nots of the society and donors are the haves of the society, but donors are always concerned that their donations must be used in an effective way by the organizations or charitable organization, including donations by those who support their work and commercial activities. The charitable sector includes large national charities and smaller charities which operate on a single site. Charitable sector includes what? It includes large, it includes national charities and smaller charities which operate on a single site. Charities' legal position. Charities in ERDCA are often set up as companies limited by guarantee. Limited by guarantee means your liability is limited and you are providing some guarantee against the bankruptcy. A company limited by guarantee does not have any shares or shareholders. Definitely, it is not a profit seeking organization. That's why they don't have shares or shareholders. It is underwritten by guarantors who guarantee to pay a specified amount of money to help settle its debt only in the event of insolvency. So, if a situation will come where it is expected that this charity organization can become insolvent due to liquidity problem, then guarantor will come and they will provide a bailout package and they will save the charity organization. Surpluses are not distributed to guarantors. Guarantors are not the investors, they are not shareholders. So that's why there will be no distribution of surplus, just like dividend in the profit seeking organization, but invested in the charity to help promote its charitable objectives. Charitable activities are determined by their governing document constitution. Many charities raise funds by the means of surpluses from commercial activities. Commercial activities are like what? They can arrange the concert, they can arrange like any events or at a particular occasion where they are going to sell stalls, they can arrange food festivals. So things like this are arranged by such type of charitable organizations where they sell the stall and generate revenue, or they arrange concert and to generate revenue. So they use different activities to for generation of the revenue. For example, running shops. Commercial activities are carried out through subsidiary companies which charities wholly own. If charitable organizations are rich in finances, they use these finances to develop non-current assets, and then they provide these non-current assets on rental. So rental income become a regular cash inflow for their day-to-day expenses. Charities in ERDCA are regulated by the Charity Supervisory Board. Regulation means now you are expected to perform in a particular framework, otherwise, there could be any legal action against the charity organization. Established by the ERDCA central government, the CSB aim to ensure that general public can be confident that donations to charities will be used for proper charitable purposes. So they are sure that they will use charities or they will use donations for the charities. CSB investigates allegations that charities are not acting in accordance with the charitable objectives. So they are facing allegations. Now you can expect in your actual exam that there could be any question which is relevant with the internal control or utilization of the donation funds. And it is also expected that examiner will use skepticism as a professional skill if examiner will ask the question. And probably there will be a question from this area because this is one of the very important area from where this organization is generating funds. Are behaving unethically, or now unethical behavior is given over here. So you can expect anything from the ethics, or you can expect from the internal controls or risk assessment or utilization of charities, and definitely relevant professional skills marks are skepticism and misusing funds or otherwise breaching regulations. The content of the charity's account is governed by a statement of recommended practice published by the CSB. CSB requires all charity accounts to be audited. So there must be audit of the charity accounts. Larger charities whose annual income exceeds $10 million need to report on internal controls and risk management system, with the report being reviewed by charities external auditors. Charities and commercial subsidies wholly owned by the charities are not subject to taxation in the ERDCA. So I hope that there will be a question or exhibit in the actual exam, and then there will be a task relevant with the charity regulation, and definitely it will cover the risk assessment and or ethics, or we can say like question relevant with the internal control. So these three things are highlighted in this charity regulation. Next, we have heritage subsector. Many charities in ERDCA exist for the purpose of preserving the country's heritage at the urban and rural sites. Heritage means things of historical or cultural value which are worthy of preservation. Charities in the heritage subsector conserve and maintain historical sites, including buildings and museums and objects kept at those sites. They generally allow public admission to the sites which they maintain. So if they are allowing public admission, definitely there must be an admission fees as a revenue from the public. If they are not using right now or currently, then they should impose some admission fees, because such type of activities also require the maintenance cost. Heritage charities aim to bring history to life for visitors. They seek to encourage public appreciation of and participation in heritage. This includes encouraging members of the public to visit sites and work for the charities as unpaid volunteers. So they are using unpaid volunteers It's apparently on the basis of available information. I think they are not charging fees from the visitors for admission, and they don't have the capacity to pay to volunteers. It is better for such type of charities that they should have some minimum admission fees and use that admission fees to pay a minimum stipend to the volunteer workers. Although volunteer means completely free of cost, but if we are going to pay them some stipend or minimum amount as a salary, which will help this type of organization to retain their workers, and they will also earn some amount which can give them better feeling or motivation. Heritage as charities are concerned with the education, so they are utilizing their charities in education. Apparently, it is a very good purpose of utilization of charities. They host visit from groups of school children, student at their side. Some establish formal links with schools and universities. Number of charities provide training in conservation and other activities. So number of charities are providing already training in this area. The two largest, if this heritage charities is not providing training, they should also provide, because it is their aim is to preserve heritage building. Two largest heritage charities in area DCR are historic places which mainly looks after sites over 300 years old, and living the past, which mainly cares for sites which are less than 3 years old. So they are taking care of buildings which are more than 3 years old or less than 3 years old. Heritage charity significant stakeholders. Number one are the trustees. Each one of the not-for-profit seeking organization is always governed by the trustees. Trustees are individuals who oversee the charity activities. They are basically the watchdog for a charity organization. They are responsible for ensuring that it acts in accordance with the charitable objectives and consultation. Their aim is to maintain the like what we can say compliance with the government requirements and complies with the regulation. Trustees should ensure that the country charity control and risk management system are effective, and that our charity in charity is managed with honesty and integrity. They develop the charity strategic direction in conjunction with the executive management. Now, trustees are very much satisfied with the performance of internal controls, risk management system, and they are saying that the internal controls are effective. They are working with the honesty, they are working with the integrity. But previously, we read that there is an allegation of the company that they of the charity organization that they are not using their funds properly, and they are setting this strategic direction, which means long term direction with the executive management. Trustees are accountable for the charity activities to the charity supporters, the charity supervisory board, and the general public. So there are two main stakeholders. First one is charity supervisor. Charity supervisory board is the one which is expected to keep satisfied with respect to stakeholders matrix. And general public is also one of the important stakeholder. If it is not a pressure group, then we can see that okay, say that at least we need to keep them informed from the stakeholders mapping, or otherwise we can say we also need to keep them satisfied. Trustees are not paid for their time and receive no employment benefit. So trustees are also completely working free of cost for their time and not getting any kind of benefit. Second one is executive management. Executive management means employees of the company are employees responsible for the day-to-day operations. They normally meet regularly as an executive board or committee. Third one is other paid employees. Paid employees include head office administration staff and staff working full or part-time at the sites. Next one is volunteer. Volunteer may carry out where volunteer may carry out unpaid work. Unpaid work at the charity site in their spare time. They have no contractual obligation to keep volunteer. So because they are not getting anything, there is no financial compensation. So that's why there is no contractual obligation. Donors give monies to charities without expecting anything in return. Donor may give on a one-off or regular basis. Members are whom members are the one who are paying annual fees, just like the subscription or one-off fee for life membership, which gives them certain privileges depending on what that charity does. The most important privilege which membership gives them are free admissions to sites operated by charity and voting at the charity's annual general meeting, including electing trustees. Members do not own the charity and do not have any responsibility for its debt. Now, do not own the charity, and definitely they do not have any responsibility of the debts. Guarantor are the one who took the responsibility of settling debts if there will be any insolvency. Non-member visitors are the one who pay admission fee to have access to the site. So now we know that Heritage Charities is charging admission fees for their sites. Guarantors are the one who provide the guarantee a specific amount to help settle a charity debt if the charity becomes insolvent, but are generally not otherwise involved with the charity activities. They are not again part of the charity activities or operations, but they will provide funds if charity is facing any insolvency. Charity Supervisory Board act on behalf of the DCA government in overseeing charity activities. Stories in media can illustrate the good work charities are doing. However, media coverage can also be a source of bad publicity. At times it looks that it is paid. For example, stories about charities wasting money. Stakeholders who give money or non-financial resources, donors, volunteers, members, non-members, are sometimes known collectively as the supporter of a charity. But at times we can say that public purpose of publicity is to encourage more visitors to visit heritage charity, and definitely they will come with the admission fees or they will pay admission fees, or it will help to increase the revenue of heritage charity. Heritage charities income charities raise money in several ways. Number one, donations. Charities obtain donation in various ways, contacting possible donors through the post, by email or text message, or giving visitors the choice to donate when they visit the historical site. Charities encourage donations by advertising, including adverts on the television or on social media. Most charities have websites which allow donors to donate on them. Charities retain contact detail of previous donors and focus marketing campaigns on obtaining further donation from them. So they are actively seeking donations from the different sources and always marketing to attract more donors. Number two, membership, a fee is another source of income. Either it will be one of lifetime membership or annual membership. Number three is admission fees. Admission fees charged to non-members who visit charity sites. Number four, commercial activities. Commercial income can come from various sources. Most sites have catering facilities, cafes or restaurant at the site. Smaller catering facilities may only provide snacks and drinks. Larger facilities will offer full meal. Charities may open some of their sites for hospitality events such as corporate events or wedding. Most sites also have shops. Smaller shops may just sell guidebooks or other items connected to the site. For example, books about the historical period when the site was in use. Larger shops sell a greater variety of products such as greeting cards, toys, household items, clothing, and bags. Some of the items may be branded with the charity's logo. A small number of charities in EADCA also operate shops which are not at their sites, but which are located in shopping areas. Okay. These shops sell the same items which are sold at the charity sites Some charities also sell their shop product online. So here we are provided with one more new information which is called selling of products online. So we can expect that there could be or definitely there will be a question which is relevant with the e-business or information technology. Maybe further information will be provided here, or I can expect that there could be a question from the sixth size which is using for the marketing online. Heritage trustees, charities expenditure. Charities incur the following main categories of expenditures. Number one is site operating cost. These are day-to-day running expenses, including the wages of the employees who work at the sites. Number two, site maintenance and conservation cost. Site requiring varying amount of maintenance depending on their age and condition. If their age is old and condition is weak, definitely their maintenance cost or conservation cost will be quite high. Some maintenance takes place regularly throughout each year and may be undertaken by the charity employees or outside contractors. If outside contractors will come, definitely this company would have to pay huge fees. Sometimes major one-off projects are undertaken by outside contractors. Charities also incur cost conserving historical objects at their sites. These objects often require complex treatment carried out by the charities. Number three is administration costs. These include cost of fundraising and marketing. The charity activity is also the cost of administering membership. They also include the salary cost of the charity executive management. So, cost of fundraising, cost of marketing activities, administration, and salary cost of chief charity executive management and other head office administration cost. Charities can suffer bad publicity and attract less support if administration costs are believed to be too high. So that's why they will try to keep their administration cost at the lowest possible level. But below a certain level is not possible to achieve. Heritage charities challenges. Principal challenge which charities face is the variety of factors which can cause deterioration of in the sites and objects which they are trying to preserve. These include the passage of time and natural conditions such as high humidity, pollution, and violent weather conditions caused by climate change can accelerate deterioration or result in significant damage. Wear and tear from having a large number of visitors can also affect the sites. Large charities are also dependent on recruiting sufficient volunteers to ensure there are enough staff at each site. Volunteers are unpaid, thus saving charities' salary costs, but their hours and attendance may not be regular and they may decide to stop volunteering suddenly. Heritage charities face the challenge that non-heritage charities are also seeking donations. Potential donors are likely to receive communications from many charities. Charities which are in the news at particular time may raise considerable sum of money, but this may mean that donors give less to other charities which they normally support. This is important thing. Charities which are in the news at particular time may raise considerable sum of money. As I told you earlier, that they are incurring cost on media, but media cost will help them to attract the fund providers or donation providers. But this may mean that donors give less to other charities which they normally support. But definitely donors are expected to pay a certain amount or they have the budget for the charities. If they are going to increase their budget at one point at one side, it will affect the other side. At present, there is a recession in Rhodesia. As a result, many charities have seen a fall in donations. Heritage charities key performance indicator number one is financial indicator income, and the other we have non-financial indicator commitment. We have membership fees, we have donations, we have site admission fees, income from commercial activities, shops, catering, income generated per visitor from the shops and catering activities. We have number of members, number of donors, number of volunteers, visitors to sites. Second one is expenditure, site operating cost, site maintenance and conservation cost, administration expense and employee cost. Education and development, number of educational visits to site, training days for staff and volunteer and trainees employed. Operating margin, surplus of income over expenditure, conservation, preservation, number of hours spent on the conservation, object work, maintenance project, satisfaction, feedback from the members and visitors, feedback from the employees, percentage of the annual members, feedback from the volunteers. Very important is environment, that resource consumption, percentage of energy obtained from renewable resources, waste and recycling rates, and emissions. So all these are the financial and non-financial indicators provided here for the assessment of the performance of heritage charities. We have different types of non-financial commitment. Then we have education and development, conservation and preservation. We have like satisfaction, we have environment. So this information is provided. Now we have historical places. Historical Places operates in the heritage charity sector and was founded 120 years ago. HP is a large charity which looks after around 350 sites over 300 years old. Many of the sites are castle or museums. It does not look after any sites with religious connections. Okay, these don't have any religious connection. So it means none of the religious pressure group can affect us. HP is a company limited by guarantee, the same situation that guarantors will provide funds in case of any insolvency. HP senior manager and most administration staff are based at head office in the DCA capital city. HP commercial activities are undertaken by a subsidiary which HP wholly owns. Mission and values, HP mission is that it is permanently protects and preserve sales entrusted to and promote interest in and access to them. Value with HP promotes are historical truth, accessibility, enjoyment, involvement, transparency, inclusivity, diversity, and social environmental responsibility and stewardship. So now access truthfulness means we are promote the historical truthfulness. Accessibility means you can access the maximum available resources or places. Definitely, it will create recreation or enjoyment. It will involve public transparency will be maintained. It is inclusive and diversity is important over here. Social and environmental responsibility and stewardship means ultimately ownership. HP has a two-tier governance structure. Two-tier means there are two layers of the governance structure who are monitoring the different activities of the organization and trying to make sure that each one of the employee in the organization accept this fact that they are held accountable in front of trustees or donors with a board of trustees and board of executive directors. Both board of trustees is responsible for overall control and management of HP and for developing its strategies in consultation with the board of executive directors. Board of Trustees has Audit, Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Audit Committee is responsible to oversee the strength of the internal controls. They will coordinate with the internal auditor and they will try to make sure that internal auditor is performing their job independently. Similarly, after hiring of the external auditor, then they will discuss the planning process of the audit. They will coordinate during the audit and definitely they will meet at the end of the with the external auditor to understand that what weaknesses in internal controls are identified and they will make sure that there is no material misstatement or Fraud. Nomination committee is the one which is used to nominate directors. Audit committee is more likely 100% based on non-executive directors. Remuneration committee is the one which determines the remuneration of executive management mainly and align their remuneration or benefits with the long-term performance of the organization. Board of Trustees has 9 members. First one is chairman. Chairman is basically the one who is appointed by the trustees, do not have any fixed term of office. HP member do not vote on the appointment of the chair. Number two, nominated trustees. 5 trustees are nominated by HP nomination committee. Their appointment is subject to a confirmation vote by HP members. If they are confirmed in office by the vote, they then serve for 3 years and then seek reappointment. Number three, members elected trustees. 3 trustees are elected by HP members at the charity annual general meeting. Trustees elected by members also serve for 3 years and can seek re-election at the end of the 3 years. Board of Trustees is supported by a board of executive directors, the executive board. Executive directors appointed by the board of trustees on the advice of nomination committee. AHP's members do not vote on the appointment of executive directors. Executive board is responsible for the day-to-day management of operations of HP. Executive board is headed by CEO. Remuneration of the executive board members, including the chief executive officer, is determined by remuneration committee. Now we have the executive board structure: CEO, operations director, finance director, marketing, HR, and IT. Code of conduct: HP has a code of conduct which trustees, executive directors, and other paid employees, volunteer are expected to follow. Code of conduct is basically a document either within the organization, or if we talk about code of conduct was developed by the UK Corporate Governance Act. Code means we are going to provide a framework or guidelines in which we expect that organization or employees should perform. The code include core principles relating to professional behavior. Professional behavior means how will you behave in your as a professional, your commitment as a professional, your adherence to decision or implementation of decision which are made by the board, maintenance of the confidential information. There must not be any kind of conflict of interest, and there must not be any act of bribery, receiving or bribery payment. Acquisition of sites: HP acquire building and other site at gift from previous owner or by purchasing them using a surplus funds. HP will only acquire sites which are of national importance and are under the threat of destruction or deterioration over time. Now we have operational activities. Every HP site is open to members and other visitors. An admission charge is payable by non-members to access the site. So non-members would have to pay the admission fees. The amount charged varies between sites depending on what can be seen at the sites. How often sites are open also varies. Sites must sometimes be closed for a period of maintenance, and opening time can also depend on their staffing levels. HP aims to enhance the experience of visitors to its sites by providing guides to give tours and answer questions about the sites, on-site information and exhibition about aspects of site's history. It also aims to stimulate interest by, for example, encouraging children to spot feature at a site or object kept there. HP education objective is focused on hosting visits of groups of school children and explaining to them the significance of what they are visiting. Sites are also offer special events, including the performances about the site history aimed at the children and facilities. Every site has a shop. The size of the shop determines which is stocked there. Every site also has catering facilities where visitors can sit down and eat. Smaller sites only provide snacks and drinks. Larger sites offer full meals. HP best known site include Moloch, Dogdini, Pemmingham, Stillwater, and Thruworth. Okay, these are the popular sites. Now we have the stakeholders. Details about key stakeholders of HP are given below. Number one, members. Member have around HP have around 5 million members. HP offer annual membership only. Benefit of membership include free admission site admission to site, regular newsletter and emails. Member have the right to attend HP's annual general meeting. So they will attend annual general meeting to assess the performance of the charity. They can vote on the appointment of the trustees, so they have the voting right. HP receives annual report and financial statements and approve appointment of auditors. So they are providing annual report, they are getting the approval of the auditors. They can also submit resolution which are not binding to the trustees, but which the trustees must take into consideration. If there is any resolution, they will present it to the trustees, but it is not a binding for the trustees to accept this. Employees, HP around 4,000 full and part-time employees, including staff who work for the wholly owned commercial subsidiary. So commercial subsidiary is having the intention to maximize shareholders' wealth. Because here we are saying that they are performing the commercial activity. They work at HP's head office and site. Some have worked for HP for a long time. Generally, HP pays average salaries for job across the charity sector, which are lower than would be paid for equivalent job in commercial organization. Definitely not for profit seeking organizations do not have a significant budget to pay higher salaries. Many employees are prepared to accept lower salaries than they would obtain outside the charity sector because of their commitment to HP mission. So such type of organizations needed the employees who are ready to accept the lower salaries. They have some gesture of charity or volunteer. HP has around 20,000 volunteers who play a very significant role in its operations. Predominantly, very volunteers act as guides, work in catering facilities and shop and help maintain sites. Suppliers and contractor choice of suppliers and the inventory policy of the catering facilities and shop is determined centrally by HP procurement function. HP uses external contractor for regular site management and major projects. Contractor for large single projects are employed on a one-off basis. IT system. HP information system are educated for its administration need and are fully compliant with data protection regulation. So there could be a question related to data protection in the actual exam if there is any weakness in data protection or provided any weakness in the exhibits in the actual exam. HP computerized information system cover major operational function. HP has a website which publicizes its activities and allow donations to be made and members to join. There are separate web pages for each of the HP sites, including details about the site, such as its history, maps, facilities, and news. Then we have risks. HP maintain a risk register at head office. Definitely there will be a question exhibit in the actual exams, and then there will be a task which will deal with the risk identification, risk assessment, and how to mitigate the risk. At its head office, covering significant charity-wide risks, including number one, threat of reputation. Bad publicity about HP can lead to members not being willing to renew their membership, donors not being willing to donate, and volunteers no longer being willing to work. So they need to take care of their reputation. Other threats to income, the recession in the year DCR may limit the donors because in the period of recession, people do not have the capacity to donate, willingness to donate to HP. Visiting HP site is one of the very many layer activities available. to individuals and families, and the risk is that visit will become less popular, reducing income from the admissions and commercial activities. So, not for profit seeking organizations are also suffered by recession because it is done by the disposable income. If people will face any kind of reduction in income, there will be lesser disposable income and they will not be able to enjoy or they will not be incur cost on recreational activities. Loss of employees and volunteer. If employees and volunteer leave and cannot be easily replaced, then experienced offer to visitor to sites may be affected and the site may be open less frequently. Some conservation work require specialist staff and loss of these staff members may affect HP ability to carry out work on sites or historical objects. Next one is insufficient financial resources. If income is less than expected to be or needed, HP may not have the financial resources to carry out all necessary conservation work. Next one is poor performance by suppliers and contractors. Poor quality goods provided by suppliers can reduce visitor satisfaction. Poor performance by contractor can mean that HP does not obtain value for money and may also jeopardize the conservation of the building. Then we have health and safety. These can affect people working at and visiting the sites. Sites have potential hazards including slippery surfaces and steep staircases. Extreme weather may also create hazardous conditions at some site. Climate and weather. Poor weather can affect visitor number at sites where visitors are wholly or mostly outdoors. Extreme weather such as excessive heat, high winds, or rain can damage sites. Then we have cybersecurity. HP computer system face the risk of disruption due prioritizing its administration and the services which it provides. Leakage of data held about members and donors could result in legal action, loss of reputation, unwillingness of members and donors to provide their personal details. So cybersecurity is again relevant with the data protection. Once again, as I told you earlier, there could be a question relating to data protection of cybersecurity, or there could be like exhibit leakage of data held about members and donors could result in legal action, loss of reputation, unwillingness of members and donors to provide their personal details. So this is important to take care. There must be strong controls in IT controls to avoid these things. Website extracts. Extract covers key action which HP takes. Number one is inspire. We want to inspire everyone who visit us in imaginative and authentic ways. We aim to stimulate our visitors' mind and provoke their emotions. So website must be a very eye-catching. Access to our country's history enriches everyone's life. We want our visitors to have the privilege of standing on the spot. It will also pride the citizens of the country when they will know about their heritage or history, where history happened, and to live our country's story. Number three is engage and entertain. We want everyone who visit us to love the time and spend with us. They spend with us. We engage our visitors by bringing the fascinating true or stories of our sites to life. We use creativity and imagination to delight and entertain our visitors. Then we have involved millions share our belief that history is important for everyone, and we want to provide opportunities for them to engage with us. We rely on the generous support of members, donors, and volunteers, and we want to build our relationship with them. Next one is conserve. We protect sites and objects which urgently need our care. Looking after them for the benefit of present and future generation is central to everything which we do. We aim to preserve and develop our collections, increasing our understanding through expert research. And the last one is sustain. We protect the future of our sites by being part of worldwide fight against climate change. This is important, very important climate change. We limit our impact by using green energy. So we should do what? We should enhance our mission, and our focus must not be only the green energy, minimizing waste, increasing the use of recycled resources. Our aim is basically to focus on climate change. Our performance is measured against increasingly rigorously sustainability targets. Financial and non-financial information. Our income is rising since 20x0 till 20x3 up till now. Split of income 20x3 is more than 100 shop from 100. Catering shop is greater than $100 million. Catering is 100. Admission is also slightly greater. Donations greater. Membership is much higher. So membership is, if we add up all these values, like suppose we say that membership is providing 300, like donation, we say like donation is like judgmental. I am saying that if we are not provided with the exact values, we are not provided. If we use judgment, it is 130. So we have 480. If say like 110 for the admission, if I add these values, it's 590. For catering, we have exact 100. Once again, for shop, suppose if we have like 120. So 810 million is the total income. And we are saying that 350 divided by 810 into 100, we can calculate the proportion of membership. Operating expenses are also rising, definitely when we are increasing our revenue. Site operating costs significantly high, approximately 375 million. Site maintenance and conversion is looks approximately like at 290 million. Admission is like at 80 million. So we can add up these costs and calculate proportion of each one of the costs. Number of visit members and non-members is also rising. Number of members is rising. Although there is a slight curve and showing that it is declining, but overall we can say that it is not declining. Overall, it is positive and doing good in terms of numbers. So in the actual exams, now you can face the question like one of the question will more likely come from the risk. One of the question will more likely come from the data protection or secure, cyber security. One of the question can come from like any act or done by the charity which is affecting or which can affect their reputation, because initially some people complained that they are not utilizing donation properly. So you can expect that there could be any question about value for money or 3Es or utilization of donors funds or donations. Or apart from this, if we are facing any kind of decline, there could be strategic options. That what are the strategic options to grow further? What are the options to increase revenue, to mitigate the expenses, and to avoid any kinds of debts or insolvency? So in actual exams, these type kind of questions can come from due because it is a value for money or charity organization. So it looks difficult that in the actual exams there will be number of use of models. In fact, you need to read this pre-seen time and again before the exam, and then read your exhibits carefully in the actual exam to make sure that you can extract at least half of your answer from your exhibits, which will help you to complete your paper and do as much questions as you can before the actual exams, because it is very important in the SBL to complete 100 marks within 3 hours 15 minutes. ACCA usually have global pass rates somewhere in between 48 to 51, 52% of SBL. So all those who have good time management and writing skills and having above average preparation, they are at least capable to pass this paper in the first attempt. So all the best for your exams.